She was 8 years old, barefoot, and starving. He was a billionaire eating alone in the most expensive restaurant in the city. When she walked up to his table and asked for food, everyone expected him to look away, to call security, to pretend he didn't see her. But he didn't. What happened next didn't just change her life. It shattered his. And before you finish this story, it might just shatter yours too. Because this isn't a story about charity. It's about something much more powerful. It's about what happens when someone finally sees you and decides to stay. Her name was Lily. And this is how one question changed 2 lives forever. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. Let me tell you about the night everything changed. Not with thunder or lightning, but with 3 simple words from a child. It was a Tuesday evening in downtown Seattle. The kind of evening where the rain had just stopped and the city lights reflected off wet pavement like scattered diamonds. Inside Lawrence, one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, people sat in their perfectly pressed suits and designer dresses, cutting into steaks that cost more than some people make in a week. Daniel Rivers sat alone at his usual table by the window. At 42 years old, he was the founder of Riverflow Energy, a company that had revolutionized solar panel technology and made him one of the wealthiest men in the Pacific Northwest. But tonight, like most nights, he sat alone. His food sat untouched in front of him, beautiful, expensive, and meaningless. Then he heard it, a small voice shaking slightly. "Can I please have some food?" Daniel looked up. Standing beside his table was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. Her clothes were dirty and torn. Her feet were bare, covered in cuts and grime. Her hair hung in tangled knots around her thin face. But it was her eyes that stopped Daniel's heart. They were old eyes. Tired eyes. Eyes that had seen too much. The restaurant went silent. You could hear the gentle clink of silverware stop. Conversations died mid-sentence. Then the whispers started. "Is that a homeless child? How did she get in here? Someone call security." A man in a gray suit already had his phone out. "I'm calling the police. This is unacceptable." The manager rushed over, his face red with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry, sir. I don't know how this happened. We'll remove her immediately." But Daniel raised his hand. "Wait." He looked at the little girl again. She stood there, small and trembling, waiting for the world to push her away again. And in that moment, Daniel saw something he'd been blind to for years. He saw a human being. Not a problem. Not an inconvenience. A child who was hungry. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The girl blinked, surprised anyone was speaking to her like a person. "Lily," she whispered. Daniel pulled out the chair across from him. "Sit down, Lily." Gasps rippled through the restaurant. People stared. Some looked disgusted. Others pulled out their phones, already typing, already judging. The manager stepped forward. "Mr. Rivers, I really must insist." "She's my guest," Daniel said firmly. "Bring her a menu." Before the manager could respond, 2 police officers walked through the door. Someone had called them. They looked around the elegant restaurant until they spotted Lily. "We got a call about a minor trespassing," the first officer said. Daniel stood up slowly. "She's not trespassing. She's eating dinner with me." The second officer frowned. "Is this your daughter, sir?" "No," Daniel said. "But she's under my care right now." The officers looked at each other. One of them recognized Daniel. His face had been on magazine covers, news programs, and tech conferences. The officer nodded slowly. "We'll wait outside, Mr. Rivers. Just in case." As they turned to leave, Daniel heard the click of a camera. A young man in the corner had his phone pointed right at them. Within seconds, Daniel knew that photo would be online. Within minutes, it would be everywhere. He didn't care. Daniel sat back down and looked at Lily. She was staring at the white tablecloth like she was afraid to touch it. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe now." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You really want me here? I invited you, didn't I?" She looked up at him, and for the first time, something softened in those tired eyes. Hope. Small and fragile, but there. "Where are your parents, Lily?" Daniel asked gently. Her face fell. "Gone. There was a storm last winter. A big one. The river flooded. My mom, she couldn't get out. My dad tried to save both of us, but..." She trailed off. Daniel's throat tightened. "And now, I sleep under the freeway. There's a spot by the old rail yard. It's dry most nights." The words hit Daniel like a punch to the chest. Here he was, sitting in a restaurant where a single meal cost $300, and this child had been sleeping on concrete. The waiter approached nervously. Daniel ordered soup, salmon, roasted vegetables, bread, and dessert. Everything warm. Everything good. When the food arrived, Lily stared at it like she was looking at treasure. Her hands shook as she picked up the spoon. She ate slowly, carefully, trying not to spill anything. Despite everything she'd been through, she had manners. She had dignity. Daniel watched her, and something inside him cracked open. All his success, all his achievements, all the praise and awards and magazine covers meant nothing compared to this. This little girl, finally getting a warm meal. His phone buzzed. Then again. And again. He glanced at it. Messages from his assistant, his PR team, his board members. The photo was already viral. The headlines were already writing themselves. He turned the phone off. Around them, people whispered and stared. Some looked moved. Others looked angry, as if Lily's presence somehow ruined their expensive evening. Daniel didn't care about any of it. He pushed his own plate toward Lily. "Try the salmon. It's really good." She took a small bite, and her eyes went wide. "This is real fish?" He smiled. "The realest." As Lily ate, Daniel made a decision. He didn't fully understand it yet. He didn't know where it would lead. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He wasn't going to let this child go back to sleeping under a freeway. Not tonight. Not ever. The ride home was quiet. Daniel's driver, Thomas, had opened the car door without asking questions. He'd been with Daniel long enough to know when not to speak. Lily sat in the back seat, her eyes wide as she touched the leather seats. "It's so soft," she whispered. Daniel smiled. "There's heat in the seats, too. You warm enough?" She nodded, clutching the white cloth napkin from the restaurant. "This is mine, right? You said I could keep it. It's yours." She held it close like it was made of gold. They drove through the glittering Seattle streets, past the Space Needle lit up against the night sky, past crowds of people going to bars and shows, none of them knowing or caring about the little girl who'd been invisible to them all. "Where are we going?" Lily asked quietly. "My place," Daniel said. Lily stiffened. "I don't want to be trouble. I can go back. I know how to stay safe." Daniel's heart broke. "You're not going back there. Not tonight." She studied his face, trying to decide if she could trust him. Finally, she nodded. 20 minutes later, they pulled up to a modern building overlooking Puget Sound. The doorman nodded at Daniel, his eyes flickering briefly to Lily but saying nothing. Inside the penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the city sprawling below like a carpet of lights. Lily stepped inside and froze. "This is where you live?" "Yeah." She tiptoed across the floor like she might break something. Daniel set down his keys and pointed down the hall. "There's a bathroom there. You can wash up. Take your time." She disappeared, and Daniel exhaled. He poured himself a drink, but didn't touch it. Instead, he stood at the window, looking out at the city, wondering what he'd just done. His phone, still off, sat on the counter. He knew what waited for him when he turned it back on. Questions. Criticism. Chaos. Lily emerged wearing one of his old t-shirts that hung down to her knees. Her hair was wet and combed. She looked smaller somehow. More fragile. "The bathroom is bigger than where I used to sleep," she said. Daniel showed her to the guest room. It had a big bed, soft carpet, and shelves with books. Lily stood in the doorway, hesitant. "You don't have to stay if you don't want to," Daniel said gently. "I'm not scared," she said. Then added quietly, "Just not used to doors that lock from the inside." He left the door cracked. "I'm just down the hall if you need anything." She climbed into the bed carefully, like it might disappear. "Do you always eat alone?" she asked. The question caught him off guard. "Lately, yeah." "Me too," she said. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what Lily had said. About the flood. About sleeping on concrete. About being invisible. Finally, he turned his phone back on. It exploded with notifications. Hundreds of them. His PR director, Caroline, had sent 12 messages. The last one read, "Call me now. This is a crisis." He called. "Daniel, what were you thinking?" Caroline didn't even say hello. That photo is everywhere. CNN, Fox, every blog and social media platform. People are divided. Some think you're a hero. Others think you're using a homeless child for publicity. "I'm not using anyone," Daniel said quietly. "That's not how it looks. Your board is furious. Investors are asking questions. You need to release a statement or this will destroy everything you've built." Daniel looked down the hall toward the room where Lily slept. "I'm not releasing a statement." "Daniel." He hung up. The next morning, Lily appeared in the kitchen wearing the same oversized shirt. Daniel made scrambled eggs, toast, and cut up strawberries. She ate slowly, savoring everything. "Can I stay a little longer?" she asked. "You can stay as long as you need." She smiled. Then she saw the TV on the wall, muted but showing a news program. Her face appeared on the screen next to Daniel's. The cheer read, "Billionaire's stunt or genuine kindness? Am I causing you trouble?" Lily asked. "No," Daniel said. "You're showing people what matters." But the trouble was just beginning. Over the next few days, reporters camped outside Daniel's building. His board called an emergency meeting. Investors threatened to pull funding. Colleagues questioned his judgment. And then came the knock on the door. Daniel opened it to find a woman in a blazer holding a badge. "Mr. Rivers, I'm Agent Morrison from Child Protective Services. We've received complaints that a minor may be in your care without proper authorization." Daniel's stomach dropped. "She's safe here." "I'm sure she is. But we have procedures. I need to see the child and assess the situation." Lily appeared behind Daniel. "What's happening?" Agent Morrison softened slightly. "Hi, sweetie. I just need to ask you some questions. Make sure you're okay." They sat in the living room. Morrison asked Lily about where she'd been, how she'd met Daniel, how she felt now. Lily answered honestly, her voice clear and steady. "He gave me food when I was hungry. He gave me a bed when I was cold. He's nice to me." Morrison made notes. Then she turned to Daniel. "Mr. Rivers, your intentions may be good, but you can't just take in a child without going through the system. There are laws." "Then help me follow them," Daniel said. "Because I'm not letting her go back to the streets." Morrison studied him for a long moment. "I'll start the paperwork for emergency foster placement. You'll need background checks, home inspections, and legal representation. This isn't simple. I don't care how complicated it is." Morrison nodded. "I'll be in touch." After she left, Lily looked up at Daniel. "Are they going to take me away?" Daniel knelt down to her level. "Not if I can help it. But this might get harder before it gets easier." She grabbed his hand. "I don't want to leave. Then we'll fight to make sure you don't have to." The next 2 weeks were a blur of paperwork, interviews, and inspections. Daniel hired a family lawyer. He had background checks done. He had his home evaluated by social workers who measured everything from the locks on the windows to the food in his refrigerator. Through it all, Lily stayed. She started drawing pictures that she hung on the refrigerator. She learned how to make hot chocolate. She named the potted plant in the living room Robert. But Daniel could see the fear in her eyes every time someone official came to the door. She was waiting for the moment when someone would take her away. Then came the day that changed everything again. Daniel was in his home office reviewing legal documents when the doorbell rang. He opened it to find a man standing there. Thin, weathered, wearing a faded jacket. His eyes were cautious but familiar. "I'm looking for Daniel Rivers," the man said. "That's me." The man hesitated. "I saw the news. I saw the little girl. Her name's Lily, right?" Daniel's guard went up. "Who are you?" "My name is Thomas Reed." The man swallowed hard. "I'm Lily's father." The world seemed to stop. Daniel stepped outside, closing the door behind him. "You abandoned her." "I know," Thomas said, his voice breaking. "After the flood, after losing my wife, I fell apart. Started drinking. I thought Lily would be better off without me. I thought I was protecting her by leaving. She was sleeping under a freeway." Thomas's face crumpled. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I've been trying to get sober. I've been in a program for 8 months. Then I saw her face on the news, and I knew I had to come." Daniel's hands clenched into fists. "What do you want?" "I want to see her. I don't want to take her from a good home. I just want to know she's okay." Inside, Lily appeared at the window. She saw the man on the doorstep. Her face went pale. Daniel turned. "Lily, do you know this man?" She nodded slowly. "That's my dad." Thomas's eyes filled with tears. "Hey, baby girl." Lily didn't move. She just stared at him like he was a ghost. Daniel made a decision. "Come inside. But we do this carefully." They sat in the living room, an impossible tension filling the space. Lily sat close to Daniel, her hand gripping his arm. Thomas sat across from them, his hands shaking. "Why did you leave?" Lily asked. Her voice was small but steady. Thomas wiped his eyes. "Because I was broken, sweetheart. After your mom died, I didn't know how to keep going. I thought you'd be safer without me. I was wrong. It was scary," Lily said quietly. "I was alone. I know. I'm so sorry." They sat in silence. Daniel watched Lily carefully, ready to end this the moment she wanted it to stop. Are you better now? Lily asked. I'm trying to be, Thomas said. I've been sober for 8 months. I have a job. I have an apartment. But I'm not here to take you away. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Lily looked at Daniel. He nodded gently, telling her silently that the choice was hers. You can visit, she said finally. But I live here now. Thomas exhaled, relief and pain mixing on his face. That's more than I deserve. Over the next few weeks, Thomas came by occasionally. Short visits. Supervised. Lily was polite but distant. She was learning to forgive, but she wasn't forgetting. And then came the court hearing. Daniel sat in a wood-paneled courtroom, Lily beside him in a blue dress. His lawyer sat on one side. A child advocate sat on the other. Across the aisle, Thomas sat with his own lawyer, looking nervous and small. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes, reviewed the case files. This is a petition for legal guardianship filed by Mr. Daniel Rivers. Mr. Thomas Reed, the biological father, is also present. She looked at both men. I've read the reports. I've reviewed the home study. I've seen the evaluations. But what matters most is what the child wants. She turned to Lily. Lily, do you understand what's happening today? Lily nodded. Yes, ma'am. Where do you want to live? Lily looked at her father. Then at Daniel. Then back at the judge. I want to stay with Daniel, she said clearly. He stayed when everyone else left. The judge nodded slowly. Then she looked at Thomas. Mr. Reed, do you contest this? Thomas shook his head, tears running down his face. No, Your Honor. I just want what's best for her. The judge picked up her gavel. Then it's decided. Mr. Daniel Rivers is granted temporary legal guardianship of Lily Reed. Mr. Reed, you are granted supervised visitation rights. We will revisit this in 6 months. The gavel fell. Lily exhaled, and Daniel felt her entire body relax against him. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Cameras flashed. Questions flew like arrows. Daniel didn't answer any of them. He simply picked Lily up, held her close, and carried her to the car. Is it really over? She asked. This part is, he said. But we're just getting started. Spring came to Seattle with cherry blossoms and longer days. Lily had been with Daniel for 3 months now, and the penthouse had transformed. Children's books lined the shelves. Drawings covered the refrigerator. A small desk sat by the window where Lily did her homework. She'd started school, made friends, joined an art class. But something was still missing. One morning, Lily stood on the balcony looking out at the city. There's no green here, she said. Daniel joined her. What do you mean? Everything's glass and metal. There's no place for things to grow. Daniel looked at the empty rooftop terrace above them. What if we made one? Her eyes lit up. Really? Really? Within a week, they had plans. Lily drew pictures of flowers and vegetables. Daniel hired a landscaper who specialized in urban gardens. They bought soil, seeds, planters, and tools. Then they got to work. Lily wore gloves that were too big for her hands. Daniel pretended he knew what he was doing with a shovel. They planted tomatoes, strawberries, basil, and lavender. They created winding paths with stepping stones. They hung string lights that would glow at night. Neighbors heard about the project and joined in. An elderly woman from the building donated old pots. A retired teacher brought seedlings. A young family helped build a raised bed for vegetables. The rooftop became something more than a garden. It became a community. One afternoon, as they watered the plants, Lily asked, "Why don't more people do this?" Do what? Make space for things to grow. Daniel thought about it. I think people forget that growth takes time. Takes care. It's easier to build walls. Lily pressed soil around a tomato plant. We're planting windows. Daniel smiled. Yeah, we are. But even as their garden grew, darkness crept in from the edges. A tabloid published a story with the headline, Lily Reed, From Freeway to Fortune. It included old photos, half-truths, and cruel speculation. Lily found the article on a tablet one evening. Her face went pale. Are people saying I'm using you? She asked. Daniel's chest tightened. People who don't understand love say a lot of things. None of it's true. But kids at school might see it. Daniel knelt beside her. Then we show them who you really are. We don't fight lies with anger. We fight them with truth. Lily thought for a moment. Can we invite people to the garden? Let them see what we built. You want to open it to the public? She nodded. Let them see the real story. 2 weeks later, They held an open garden day. Lily made invitations by hand, colorful drawings that said, "Come see what we grew together." Over 100 people came. Neighbors, teachers, families, reporters, and people who'd followed the story online. Lily led tours, explaining which plants needed sun and which needed shade. She showed them the strawberries. She introduced them to Robert the plant. Daniel watched from the side, amazed. This little girl who'd been invisible 6 months ago was now teaching others how to see. As the sun began to set, Lily stood on a wooden crate and addressed the crowd. "I used to live under a bridge," she said, her voice clear. "Now I live in a garden. I didn't do it alone, and that's the point. None of us can grow alone." People clapped. Some cried. One woman approached Daniel afterward. "I'm a social worker," she said. "I've seen 1,000 stories like yours start with good intentions. But this is the first time I've seen one that's actually about the child, not the headlines." "That's because she's teaching me," Daniel said, "not the other way around." That night, as they cleaned up, Lily asked, "Can we keep doing this? Helping people grow things. What did you have in mind? Maybe we could help other kids who don't have homes. Give them gardens too." Daniel stopped. "That's a beautiful idea. Can we? We can try." And just like that, something bigger began to take root. By summer, their rooftop garden was thriving, and so was the idea Lily had planted. Daniel partnered with a local nonprofit to create Roots and Wings, a program that built small gardens at shelters and transitional homes for homeless children. Lily helped design each one. She chose the flowers, picked out the seeds, and even wrote encouraging notes that were planted with each seedling. "You're going to bloom," one read. "Growth takes time, but you're worth the wait," said another. The first garden was built at a shelter downtown. Lily stood with a shovel that was almost as tall as she was, grinning as cameras clicked. But this time, it wasn't about spectacle. It was about purpose. During the ribbon-cutting ceremony, a reporter asked her, "Lily, why gardens?" She thought for a moment. "Because gardens remind you that even when everything feels dead, something can still grow. You just need the right soil. And someone who won't give up on you." The room went quiet. Daniel felt his throat tighten with pride. But amidst all the growth and hope, there was still one thing left unfinished. One question Lily had been too afraid to ask. One evening, as they sat together on the rooftop under string lights, Lily finally spoke it aloud. "Can I stay with you forever?" Daniel looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean really forever. Like adoption." He'd been thinking about it for weeks. Months, even. But hearing her say it out loud made it real. "Is that what you want?" he asked gently. She nodded. "You're my family now." "Then yes," Daniel said, his voice thick with emotion. "I want that too." The legal process began immediately. More paperwork. More home visits. More interviews. But this time it felt different. It felt like building something permanent. The adoption hearing was set for late August. On the morning of the hearing, Daniel woke up early. He found Lily already awake, sitting in the garden, talking softly to the tomato plants. "You nervous?" he asked. "A little," she admitted. "What if something goes wrong?" He sat beside her. "Then we'll fix it. Together." The courtroom was smaller this time. Less formal. The same judge who'd granted guardianship presided, and she smiled when she saw Lily. "Good morning, Lily," the judge said warmly. "Good morning, Your Honor. Do you know what today is about?" Lily nodded. "It's the day I get to tell everyone where I belong." "And where is that?" Lily looked at Daniel. "With him. Forever." The judge reviewed the documents, asked a few procedural questions, and then looked at both of them with kind eyes. "Mr. Rivers, do you understand the lifelong commitment you're making?" "I do, Your Honor." "And you're prepared for everything that comes with it? The good days and the hard ones?" "I am." The judge smiled. "Then I see no reason to delay." She picked up her gavel. "It is the order of this court that Daniel Rivers be granted full and permanent adoption of Lily Reed, who shall henceforth be known as Lily Rivers." The gavel fell. Lily gasped. Then she turned and threw her arms around Daniel. He held her tight, tears streaming down his face. "You're mine now. For real." "And you're mine," she whispered back. Outside the courthouse, there were no reporters this time. No cameras. No headlines. Just Daniel, Lily, and a quiet summer afternoon. They drove to the garden and sat among the flowers. Lily pulled out a small notebook and began to write. "What are you writing?" Daniel asked. "A letter. To my future self." "What does it say?" She showed him. "Dear me." You were lost once, but now you're found. You were scared once, but now you're safe. You thought nobody saw you, but someone did. And they didn't just see you, they stayed. You have a family now. You have a garden. You have roots. Don't ever forget how far you've come. And don't ever stop growing. Love, Lily. Daniel wiped his eyes. That's perfect. She smiled. I'm going to write more. For other kids. So they know it's possible. And she did. Over the years, Lily and Daniel grew together. She started a foundation that built gardens in every homeless shelter in Seattle. She spoke at schools. She wrote a book. She became a voice for the invisible. But every evening, no matter how busy life got, they returned to their rooftop garden. They watered the plants. They pulled weeds. They watched the sun set over the city. And in those quiet moments, surrounded by green and growing things, they both understood something profound. Love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice you make every single day. It's showing up. It's staying. It's planting seeds and trusting that, with care, something beautiful will bloom. Lily had been invisible once. Forgotten. Left behind. But someone had seen her. Someone had stayed. And that made all the difference. The end. If this story moved you, remember, there are children like Lily in every city, waiting to be seen. Waiting for someone to stay. Maybe that someone is you.